Good evening and welcome to another episode of Power from Pain. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk to Shamerra Saunders. Shamerra is a native of Philly. She's a mother and a life coach. I like to say confidence coach, but that's something for another day. Anyway, let's help welcome Shamerra. Shamerra, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, great. So I know you have quite the story. So before we get to actually what happened, because I know you had several things happen,
Correct.
Can you please just tell us about your life, like what life was like before?
Life for me before was an experience. Not only was an experience, but it was also a journey. It was more of a journey where I was very confused, very misunderstood.
You were how old?
Oh, jeez. Probably about 10, 11, 12, somewhere around that time.
And you felt misunderstood from your family, or was something going on at school?
I believe, honestly, more so in myself. I do believe that I went through the pains and the trials and things that we have to go through to get to where we are present in our moment today. And I went through a lot of bullying. I went through sexual abuse. I went through being a single mother of now 3 children. I went through abuse. I went through mental stagnation or agony, hurt, pain. Like, I went through the pits.
Right. So before the first incident occurred, I know you said you were bullied.
Correct.
When you were a child. And I know home life was a little different for you because...
Correct. I'm a preacher's child.
You're a PK.
Yes, I'm a PK. I'm a preacher's kid.
And when you were being bullied and your preacher daddy, you would come home, how did he want to handle it? And how did your mom want to handle it? Because you're from a 2-parent household.
Correct. And my parents are still married to this day. My father more so just prayed a lot, more so than anything. He prayed a lot. We read the Bible a lot. My mother was kind of like you scrape your knee, let me put some Neosporin on it, let me clean it up, let me put a Band-Aid on it.
But no one really wanted to address what was going on at the school, talk to the parents, talk to the kids?
Honestly, I don't really remember that part. The parts that I do remember is the fact that I just was a troubled kid. Honestly, I would go to the school, I would act a fool, I would steal my mother lip gloss, her lipsticks, I would just take things to school that wasn't supposed to be in school.
Why?
I couldn't stay still, I couldn't stay focused, I couldn't, be involved like other children were and go to school, A, B student, get what they need to get, and that's it. I was like the class clown.
You wanted attention?
I believe so, yes.
Did you feel like you were getting attention at home?
I don't believe that it was more so the lack of attention. I think it was more so I just wanted my father's attention. More so than anything. I wanted my father's attention.
So your acting out came because you wanted your father?
Of course. I was completely acting out, I wanted my father. And although my father was there, my father was a great father, it still was not enough for me on what I needed from my father.
So I get this a lot. And I know growing up, I was under the belief that if you're from a 2-parent household, that means your dad is there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your father is
correct
all the way present.
Correct.
Right.
And he wasn't.
Right.
He wasn't present. And now being a mother, I don't believe that he wasn't being present because he was just this mean old pastor. I do believe that he carried a lot of the weight, not taking anything away from my mother, but he carried a lot of the structure in the family. You know, my mother was more emotional, you know, the nurturer, the carer, as us most women are. My father made a significant impact in my life on whether if I do something great or when I haven't done so great in life. He really became the momentum or the element in my life where the things that I do is the reason why I do what I do now. You know, I give people the change that I needed.
Okay. So you got older and you said there was a sexual assault. Can you
Correct.
tell us like what led up to that and how old you were?
I believe I was about, and to this day, it's still a part of a blockage for me. I'm not able to tell the whole story.
You don't have to if you're not
I
comfortable.
do believe that the trauma that I went through was very severe.
How old were you?
I was a young teen. Only thing I remember is that I went to a party one time.
Were you allowed to go to that party?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't. I believe it was like a dollar party or something that I went to. I don't remember much about it. I really wish that I'm able to really remember so many things about it because I want to talk about it, but I don't remember going through the mental health illness that I have. Thank God I'm conquering it, but taking a lot of the medications kind of damaged my memory. So I may have peaked of memory sometimes, but not to the point where I can just remember, you know, the details about it.
Right. So you were a teen.
Correct.
And you were assaulted.
Correct.
And then you were already acting out. You were a bit rebellious because you wanted
Very.
your father's attention.
Very.
So that happened.
Yes.
Did you, how did your behavior change after that?
Very promiscuous. Very, very promiscuous. I have slept with over 100 people. And that is the reason now today where it's just, I'm not really into it now as much. I'm in, but not all the way in, just a smidgen every once in a while. But it's not something that is very important to me any longer. I went every once in a while, I go through celibacy, where I just channel my own energy and get rid of a lot of toxins from just past, previous people. I do believe that is one great thing of getting to that wholeness and that healing in yourself.
So we go through the same thing. So I want to ask you, because the last time we talked, you brought up a situation. So after that assault occurred, and you said you slept with a lot of people, you were promiscuous, but it wasn't only men.
No,
right?
It wasn't. It was women too.
Okay, and so how long was that?
Ooh, from the age of 17 to 3 years ago, and I'm 36.
Okay.
So it was majority of my life. Yes.
Okay, so was there a difference in the way men and women treated you?
Very much.
What was the difference?
Me with women, it was more emotional. It was that emotional connection that men was not able at that time to give me. It was very uncomfortable to lay on a man's chest, where I wasn't used to that. I was used to breasts, of course. Now, difference. It's such a difference. It's such a difference. Even looking back, and I'm like 3 years ago, I so was not into this lifestyle. But I was into that lifestyle hard. Like, I mean, even with the tattoo that I have on me, I was heavily into the lifestyle.
So, and this isn't saying that if a woman is sexually abused, they become gay, because some
Correct.
people, they choose, or they feel like they were born that way. So
Correct.
it has absolutely nothing to do with sexual assault.
Correct.
But there is a statistic out saying 50% of gay and lesbian people
Have
been through some sort of sexual abuse.
Correct.
Exactly. So there was probably this man did this to me, so I'm switching teams, right? Or I feel uncomfortable because of what this person did to me, so I feel more comfortable with a woman.
At that time, I don't believe that was really I guess more so my intent.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I tried something and I really, truly just enjoyed it at that time.
Okay.
I don't believe that I necessarily went, I guess, to the other side, or however people say, the dark side. I don't believe that I really went to that side because the man did me wrong.
Okay.
It just made it easier to live with that decision, to walk down the street holding a woman's hand. It was just easier to know that, okay, well, since this happened, but this is not the main reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. It was not acceptable in my parents' home.
That was my next question. Okay.
At all. It was never acceptable in my parents' home. My father was more so kind of cool with it, but not cool with it. He was more so, well, I just, thought that that's what they like to, dress like. Mm-hmm. I do believe he was more oblivious to it. My mother, she found out in the wrong way possible ever. So I had an ex-girlfriend who got upset at me and threatened to call my mother and tell my mother that I was gay. And that's how she found out.
Wow.
So being as though she seen like little rainbow bracelets, mm-hmm. little things, but it wasn't that deep until the ex had called and got me in trouble. And
how old were you?
Maybe 18.
Okay. And
18,
did you have
19?
You didn't have any children?
No, I had my oldest daughter.
Okay.
I had my oldest daughter when I was 17.
Okay.
And 3 months after she was born, I was turning 18. So I was still living at home, me and my one child at the time. Mm-hmm. And life was okay then, but I was just more so now really out of control. Going to parties, hanging out the window at Greek Week. Me and all my homegirls, we would drink, we would party, we would dance. We was just full of life then, but things were different then. It wasn't so much social media out here, and so many things wasn't so much out the closet then. It was taboo to do certain things or say certain things. So the life was different. The life was a lot, but it was very comfortable for me.
So when did you recognize that you had a mental illness?
Okay.
What was it, and what made you decide to finally get help and start treating it?
Okay, so when I first got diagnosed of having bipolar, I was 11, I believe, 11 or 12, when I first went to the first psychiatrist I've ever seen in my life. Very literally just like a couch, and the questions are, well, why do you feel this way? And how are you today? And it drove me nuts because it felt like you were handling me instead of coming down to my level and us leveling together and let's figure out what's wrong. So I was about 11, 12. Um, I went through the state of depression, very deep, very dark. Um,
Is that what motivated your parents to let you see a psychiatrist?
no, from the conversation that my father had with the first psychiatrist or the first therapist was, my daughter is very promiscuous and she needs help.
So you were promiscuous at 11.
12, 11.
Before you were sexually assaulted.
It was around about that age, around about 11, 12. I hit through just straight dark. When I say straight dark, like even my clothes were dark, like every single thing. My music was dark. I was moody. I isolated myself in my room. I stayed in my room. So it was about 11, 12. So I wanted to possibly because when I went through my sexual assault, from what I remember, I was a teen. I was like that fresh teen, kind of like. I know it was before I had my daughter at 17. I just don't know quite exactly like the actual age.
Yeah, I understand, because I've been sexually assaulted and I don't know when it first started. So I say 5 because I was in kindergarten.
Wow. I know that was a very, very painful part for me in my life. My parents didn't know. My mother, I've told my mom when I was living down North Philly. First projects I've ever lived in my life, and it was just so crazy to live there. But I was okay to live there because that was my first apartment with my child. Mm-hmm. So this was about maybe in 2004, 2005.
You were about how old?
20.
So you hadn't told your parents?
No, I didn't.
Wow.
I told my father one day. I believe it was like in a whole screaming match situation. But me telling my mother one day, my mom was taking me home, and I don't know how I said it, but I know I said it, and my mom almost crashed. That's all I ever remember.
Let's see. You move out. You tell your parents you were assaulted. You have 2 more kids, right? And you're going through your counseling, and I believe I met you towards the end of the counseling. So can you tell us a little bit what life was like right before I met you?
Maybe about 6 months into my pregnancy, where I was sitting in my therapist's office. I had shut off notices like out the wazoo. Like I had the gas shut off, I had the electricity shut off, and I was in the process of moving to the home I'm in now. But once they moved me moving to the new place, if any of my utilities was shut off, that was actually forfeiting my application. So basically you can say it was still an eviction as well. And so I was going through all of those things, didn't know which way to go, how to do it, who to, anything. And I remember sitting in my therapist's office, which she's a great, great therapist. Shout out to you. But I was sitting there, I had this big old belly, and I was crying, like I would snot, everything. And I was like, but I just can't. And I was just going through the emotions. And that was the last horrible emotion that I've ever felt in my life. That was the last time. I mean, I had the anxiety going on. I don't even remember if I was able to breathe after, like I believe like the contractions. I believe I was having contractions. Like so many things was happening in that moment. And I just remember smelling the candles in my therapist's office. I just remember her being there and got me through a lot of tough situations. Got me through to the point of I knew that I had to be stronger than what I was given to myself. And I was angry. I was hurt. I don't know. I was just going through so many different emotions, honestly. Couldn't really pinpoint one. And like I said, it was almost 3 years ago. I was mean. I used to tell my daughter, Father, I hope you get hit by a SEPTA bus. Like, I used to, like, I was so mean. I was so mean. I was mean to just people in general. So now I've been basically spending my life saying I'm sorry to people and not being a sorry person, but my actions were sorry. My actions should not have ever been me taking it out on everybody because of what I have been through.
Right, exactly. So this is my question, and I don't mean it to be defensive, but I know you're going to go in on it, right? So, you were understandably so, promiscuous, whatever. You're a PK, you went through your thing, you got 3 kids, you were homeless, now you're getting your stuff together. Correct. And you're a coach. Like, why would someone be coached by you?
Because I put the work behind my actions. That's it. I do believe in life that, as my previous therapist also said, therapy is only as good as the therapist. And I say that in life, to coach anyone, you have to be willing and able to be coached, because I am not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to give you fancy glitter that's on my eyes, in my eyes. I am going to give you the real deal. If you choose to accept that, then I know that you want to move in your life. But if you want to make excuses, you're going to find every excuse, and you're going to be in the moment of where you are, and you will stay there until you are ready.
Okay. So what is it about your coaching
that sets me separately different?
Exactly. I know what it is, but I want to hear you say it.
Well, from what this queen keeps saying of my confidence, right? I have enough confidence for an army, and I love to give people confidence, and I love to help people understand how great and value they are, because again, in life is not going to give you the glitter. It's not going to give you the glitz and glam. You have to go get it. You have to go get it. And if you don't get it, you won't have that. And that's for me where I have to install into people that you are amazing, and that you are wonderful, and that you can do any and everything that you truly believe you can.
And it sounds to me like that period of what you went through, right? All of that pain was maybe outside pain that affected you, right? But once you said you release yourself of those toxins, that's not who you are. That's not who you were supposed to be. That's something that you went through.
Correct.
And I think there's a lot to be said for someone who has been through a struggle or 2 or 3
or 5 or 20.
Exactly. And then they come out, and then they make it their purpose to help others.
And the only time that we'll be able to do all of these great things is once we're able to release what has happened to us and what is holding us down.
Quick, tell us about your CEO, Saunders.
Coach CEO Saunders is who I am, and what I identify with is because I create effective opportunists. And not only do I create effective opportunists, I am the change, and I am the change that I needed. So I make sure when I attach that I'm actually doing the work of changing. So that's where I'm in a point now of making the book, the Coping Mechanism series, where it's a workbook. It's a workbook, 118 pages, and it basically, you can have the affirmations in your life. You can be great.
So I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
First one, giving everything that you've been through, everything that you've conquered, and you've found your power from your pain, what is your superpower?
My superpower is the ability to love people no matter what. And no matter what walk of life we all come from, no matter the upbringing, I love regardless, and I love genuinely. It's just other people sometimes, fight with that.
And got the memo, yes.
Yeah, I just love people in general.
And when all is said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the woman who never stopped. And I'm getting teary-eyed. The woman who never stopped. The woman who you told that she couldn't do it and she did it regardless. The woman who never allowed mental illness and physical pain and physical illness and hurts, bumps, and bruises to dictate where she will now be in this moment today. So I just humbly say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm trying not to get
Please don't cry. Oh my
God.
God.
It's not waterproof. My glitter is not waterproof. But just know that God is doing some great things, not only in my life, but in your life as well. And just to sit here across from you, to see your light.
Don't make me cry, please.
Your face.
You know this is going on television, right?
I do know. I'm sorry, people. But I genuinely am like this, and that's why I make sure I pray for my peace, because there's people out here in the world that is willing and ready and able to take what we have, and I refuse that. You cannot get my power any longer. It's mine. It's all mine, and no one else's.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shamerra.
Thank you, Queen.
All right, always. Thank you, everyone, for this evening's episode. If you'd like to get in touch with Shamerra, the information will be at the end of the show. Thank you all, and have a good night. All right, done.
I can't believe.
Look at
I'm so happy. Oh gosh, you are amazing.
You can find Shamerra on Facebook. Look for Shamerra P. Saunders. SHAMERRA, the letter P, SAUNDERS. Attend the free CEO launch and book party release June 2nd, 6 to 10 p.m. at the Community Education Center, 3500 Lancaster Avenue, Philadelphia. This show is sponsored by Homestar Realty and Memoir Maven Publishing. If you're looking to live in Pennsylvania, contact Joe Carlin at 215-768-5934. For more stories from people who found power from pain, please visit my website, elonawashington.com. That's ELONA Washington.com. If you've been a victim of sexual abuse and need to speak to someone, contact RAIN 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 800-656-HOPE or live chat with a professional at rain.org. That's RAINN.org. And finally, we have come together to call for a worldwide mute on R&B singer Robert R. Kelly due to his 25-year history of sexual, physical, and emotional abuse allegations. While he hasn't been found guilty in a court of law, the evidence is overwhelming that he has created an uninterrupted pattern of sexual violence in the African American community. If the court system is unable to protect our young black women and girls, we must step forward to do so ourselves. Visit muterkelly.org for ways to get involved.